ABC News has learned that a jury is expected to be seated tomorrow in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. More prospective jurors questioned today to make up the group of 18 people needed to officially begin the trial on schedule on May 12th. And Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution charges, 5 counts and all. Let's go ahead and bring in our Rena Roy for the latest on this story. And Rena, good to see you again. In this story here, the judge criticized lawyers on both sides for failing to find qualified jurors and said, quote, "We are running out of time." What more do we know?
Yeah, well, you and I were just sitting here just a short time ago, right, questioning if things could get delayed, talking about how it seemed like a slow day. Well, it turns out the judge thought so too. A lot of people were dismissed today, whether it was because of potential bias or conflicts, but he basically told both sides they have to get this done so that opening statements can begin as scheduled on Monday. As he said, they're running out of time. Now, as it stands, there are 35 prospective jurors in the pool, and they need to reach a pool of 45 before narrowing that down and seating 12 jurors plus alternates. And both sides agreed it is likely they could get this done tomorrow, so we will be keeping a close eye on that.
All right, Rena, thank you. We appreciate it. And for more on this, let's going to bring in a former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Nima Rahmani. Nima, good to see you. So what do you make of the development that a jury is expected to be seated tomorrow? We mentioned the judge's urgency to start opening statements on time.
DeMarco, I'm not surprised. And Rena talked about it. You know, federal judges, the joke is they just like to put the 12 first potential jurors in the box and get things started. They move a lot faster than their state court counterparts. But obviously, in this particular case, we have some unique factors. We have the celebrity factor. Everyone in the entire world has heard about the allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. And another factor is there's a key piece of evidence that's already been revealed to the public. Of course, that's the 2016 video CNN obtained of Diddy seemingly beating Cassie Ventura at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. So jurors already have preconceived notions in this case. They're bringing into that courtroom about celebrities, about gender violence, about sexual assault, and of course, that video. So it's impossible for them not to talk about it.
So could we see Cassie possibly take the stand? And if so, could that be a problem for the defense?
Marco, I absolutely think Cassie is going to take the stand. She's the government star witness. She's the one that really initiated this whole thing back in November 2023, right before New York State statute of limitations was about to run. Her and Diddy's lawyers entered into negotiations and they ran out of time. She reportedly was asking for somewhere between 20 to 30 million. Combs only wanted to pay her 10 million. So she had to file a lawsuit to preserve her claims before they expired because of the statute. Well, Combs settled that lawsuit the very next day, but at that point, it was too late. Filings in this country are public, and once the allegations, the very salacious ones, became public, we saw claimant after claimant make similar allegations and file civil lawsuits, so approximately 100 or so, and that prompted the Department of Justice to start investigating.
All right, Nima, to convict Diddy of racketeering, the government would have to prove his security and other entourage procured the victims he physically and sexually assaulted, accused of doing it. How challenging do you think that'll be for prosecution?
I think the challenge for the prosecution, and I think they'll get there, is to prove the force or coercion, because we know Combs' defense is going to be that this was all consensual. And because we're talking about adults and not children, they can consent to sexual activity no matter how freaky it is. What separates consensual sex between adults and sex trafficking is that force, fraud, or coercion. So the force is Diddy's entourage, his security, all the weapons that law enforcement found. And of course, the coercion is the drugging of the victims, some of which participated in these sex orgies for the course of days, and they needed medical attention and IVs when it was all said and done. So I think that's going to be the government's focus here, force and coercion. And of course, the defense is going to be that this was all consensual.
All right, Nima Rahmani. Nima, thank you and good to see you, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, DeMarco. Talk to you soon.